everyone. Blessed Mama. Gucci, R.I.P. Dolly Parton. Yeah, look at that. And I just happened to have a picture of her. Yeah, that one hit me, I tell you. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I found myself feeling very emotional before. Dolly Parton was a kind of she was a huge star. Everybody knows that. And in my family, when I was a kid, my stepfather was a particular fan of Dolly Parton. And he was a member of the Dolly Parton fan club. And he used to get things that would come in the mail, promotional, fan stuff back in the day. And she's just an amazing person, right? She's just one of those people that is like, would that we could all be as decent and kind and generous and savvy and beautiful and talented and all the rest of it. I read a Blue Sky post today saying, imagine being, beautiful and talented and rich and gorgeous and all the rest of it, and still the most notable thing about you is what an amazing person you are. And I think that sums up Dolly Parton, and the world is we're a little darker without her. She was a great role model. So anyway, I just wanted to spend a little minute to honor her. As I say, I don't want to talk about it too much because I can already feel myself getting a bit, yeah. She has had some ongoing health stuff for a while, but yeah, she lost her husband last year and she didn't take care of herself as well as she might have afterwards. And yeah. Sneaky Suspicion says, 1 year for Christmas, I bought my parents' Dolly concert tickets with Kenny Rogers. Yeah, I remember those. I remember that tour. I'm sure my mother, my own mother, would have gone. She was a huge fan. Hey, Maureen, nice to see you. So all the people are showing up. Sneaky Suspicion, Carolina, HMS, Gen X Lady, Lucia, Expert of All, and her library. Yeah, her imagination library. She's responsible for putting books in the hands of literally millions of kids. Truly, right? I mean, we should be so lucky to have someone like Dolly in our lives. Yeah, she was. We lost a real one. That's exactly what I said in my post today, Maury. Yeah, she really was. So anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore because I say I can feel myself getting... That's not why I'm here. So I expect that she will be in the arms of the angels. So the reason we are here is to talk about GraeBae, but we're sort of going to tangentially talk about Grayson's brother today, because if you were here for my last episode about Grayson, you will remember that I had come across a court case in which there were restraining orders involved, and it was all meant to take place tomorrow. There was meant to be the hearing tomorrow on what was going to happen with these court cases. So I couldn't tell a lot from it, and I wasn't able to access any actual documents. So all I knew was that these things had taken place, that both Jackson and another woman and had taken out restraining orders against each other. And then obviously those hearings were canceled. But then I wasn't aware. And then somebody sent me a short video off of Jackson's Facebook page from August 4th, which was the day that he set off on his the road trip and ultimately had the accident that took his life. And I'll play the clip for you, but first I want to play the little clip just because in case anybody didn't see it, from Hidden True Crime, from I guess they found out very early, in the very early hours of the morning, that Jackson had passed away. And then Lauren did a little announcement on the channel. So I wanted to share that. And then I'm going to share the video. And then I'm going to share some more stuff that I found when I was digging around yesterday. And I understand that Grayson is probably going to feel some kind of a way, similar to the way that Lauren felt, or pretended to feel anyway, when people talked about the incidents surrounding the death of her brother and the potential for her to be a surrogate for his child. And they're going to say, how very dare you, and they're going to get all up in their snot about, lack of respect, and poor Grayson's already having a faith crisis, and how very dare these YouTube mothers, attack her in this way. Hey, Moira Dogsman, nice to see you. But I feel like, look at the picture that we have right here, right now, of Dolly Parton, right? Live your life in such a way that when you pass, people say about you the kinds of things that we have just all said about Dolly Parton. And I will leave it at that. So let's just watch Lauren shame herself and the whole YouTube community with her behavior here. And then we'll carry on with Jackson's video. And then I will share with you the other things that I found. Hi, Squirrel67. The great Dolly Parton, my father would say she's been promoted. Oh, that's nice. I was saying that she's in the arms of the angels. Even though I don't believe in any of that stuff, but pretty sure that's where Dolly is anyway. If ever there was a rule, she would be the exception. So let's listen to Lauren. And again, contrast who Lauren is with who Dolly Parton is. And yes, carrying on.
I do have permission to share this. But, the Hidden True Crime team is experiencing a bit of a tragedy, a tragedy. So I'll just tell you, I can share this. I'm allowed to share this. She said I could. Grayson, I saw that you're in chat. So last night, so Grayson's brother, they're 2 years apart. And she's always... I'll say this, everyone has their struggles, and her brother really, really relies on Grayson. And I've noticed this, reaches out to her, even though she is his little sister and he is the older brother. He reaches out to her whenever he needs help. And she is always willing to help him. And last night he called her looking for that help. He was on his way somewhere and all of a sudden realized that where he was going was 90 degrees.
He was on his way somewhere. Wonder where he was going.
And he realized he couldn't leave their family dog, Chesney, in the car, and asked Grayson what he should do. Just little things like that, just help me, little sister. And Grayson whipped out her credit card and bought a daycare for the family dog where he was going, and was taking care of it and taking care of him and taking care of their family dog and doing what she always does. And then we went to bed, and what was a dream at first, or I felt like it was alarm, I realized was my phone ringing really felt like the middle of the night. It was just before 5, and I looked in, it was her family member calling my phone, so I knew something was wrong. And I picked it up, and they said they needed to talk to my producer, Grayson, And I gave her the phone, and her brother, just shortly after they called, was in a car accident with their dog, and they were both killed. And she is not doing okay. Well, I was with her, and I ended up taking her to the emergency room, and she was in a much better place, and we were working through this together, this tragedy together, and we decided together that we were going to keep working because that's what we do. That's what Hidden True Crime does. And by that, I mean Lauren and Grayson, we cope with things through working. So
sounds healthy.
We're working today. But we're also being gentle with everything. And
Good point.
if something changes, things will change. We'll let you know.
Yeah. Sorry. So what do you think is going to change? Sorry, but that's weird. Okay. So that's Lauren's extremely disgusting announcement of the death of Grayson's brother. Later that same day, Grayson was on Reddit arguing with people, telling them that Lauren is actually perfect and it was her decision, Grayson's own decision, to keep working because that's just normalcy for her. Well, she claims her family doesn't need her, Wendy Coco. She claimed that her family, that they had to go and collect Jackson's body, and so they were going to be gone for several days. And what was she supposed to do? Go sit by herself and cry alone. So quit being disgusting, all you people. So yeah, just saying. The whole thing was put on the way it was to make us all see what a wonderful person Grayson is, and what a wonderful person Lauren is, and how terrible and sad it all is, and how everybody can get some attention and clicks. They can literally capitalizing on the death of Grayson's brother, because they're going to get clicks for that, aren't they? For that shit. So that's fun. So then next I want to just share this. This is the video of that Jackson made. It's a minute long. It was on his Facebook. And keep in mind, when Lauren said he was on his way somewhere, he's going to tell you where he was on his way to. So here we go.
Yeah, so fucking today, quit my job today. That was super solid. Got another job within 10 minutes. That was super sick. I got home, and then 5 minutes later, I found out I have to go to Washington for court. So I'm literally on my way right now. I have to be there by Thursday, 8:45 a.m. So I'm literally driving like 20 hours in 2 days. So, yeah, it's okay though. Got my trusty road dog with me, and yeah, we're just gonna go waste taxpayers' money, time, and fucking everything else, and my time and energy. And I had to quit my fucking job for this. Super sick. Love having to quit my job because, yeah, somebody wants to fucking watch me burn for no fucking reason. I love liars. I love that shit. So, stay tuned. Let's go win this court.
He had to go to court in Washington at 8:45 a.m. on Thursday, the 6th of August. Wonder what that could be about. Interesting. So I thought I would look that up, see if I could find anything that would tell me about what was going on. So I went to the, hang on. Sorry. Come on, pen. Where are you, mouse? Sorry. I stopped sharing for some reason. Share screen, share screen. Share screen. Oh, well, will you look at that? Look at what happens when you search Grayson Yohr in the Washington courts. Well, you come up with a whole bunch of stuff. And after going through all of this for several hours yesterday, turns out it's all related to the same thing. And Jackson was on his way to court to be the defendant in a jury trial for an assault on his girlfriend from 2023. So that's what that was all about. So I went to the I did all the things, and I sent some emails, and I got some things back, and this is the docket that shows you all of it. So I don't want to share that too much because it's got the girl's name, and I redacted all of that from the documents. But anyway, so the story of it seems to be, from all of the various documents that I read, actually, you know what? I'm just going to share the documents because the documents tell their own story. So it all started, I guess. Seems like it all started when Jackson, I didn't get all the documents because, you got to pay for them, right? So you pick and choose which ones are the important ones. So as far as I can gather, what happened was that Jackson assaulted his girlfriend, who will be going by F. She reported it to the police, and he was charged. He was given this charge of domestic assault. And in retaliation, he took out a restraining order against this girl. And so that's what this document is right here, is his petition for a protection order. So I'll just go through it quickly. It's not, he doesn't say much. Hers is long. Hers is 52 pages, and it's got all the exhibits and all the evidence, right? As well as all of her statements. So the really troubling thing, Lucia, is that he has got the exact same thing going on right now in California with another woman. A charge of assault followed up by him retaliating with a restraining order. So I'm noticing a pattern of behavior. I find it hard to believe that Grayson was unaware of all of this, or that when Lauren said Jackson was on his way somewhere, that they didn't know where that somewhere was. And that they do the same sort of thing, right? When they are exposed, they behave badly. They're exposed for their bad behavior, and they retaliate with a restraining order. And Grayson is going around pretending like she is so upset by the behavior of the moms on YouTube and by the behavior of the stalker, in quotes. Thank you, Faye. Thank you very much for the 350 joules. I appreciate that. Finger heart to you. Apparently her innocence was already spoiled by the behavior of her brother. But she's pretending that she's just this innocent person who grew up. Remember, I grew up in private school. I just went to church. I didn't know anything about the mean old world out there and that people could be so cruel. She didn't know anything about that, and now she doesn't even want to have kids anymore because of us. Because of us and because of Christina and Janice Ballet Flats. Grayson's life is ruined by us. Right? So, just going to say, seems like Grayson might have been familiar with the temporary restraining order and the uses that it could be put to. Just saying. Maybe not. Maybe she didn't know anything about this. Maybe he kept all of this from her, and she just thought he was this struggling innocent who's on the spectrum and has no responsibility except for his own whims. And she just jumps in with her credit card. So I wonder if she paid for his lawyers in any of this. Interesting. Just curious. Oh, I'm sure Grayson knew. I'm sure she did. I can't know that for sure, but in my opinion, she probably did. So we're choosing the type of protection order that best fits the situation. Check only one. Domestic violence, protected from an intimate partner or family or household member who has committed domestic violence, non-consensual sexual conduct or penetration, unlawful harassment or stalking. PTORPRT. I guess those are all the... So that's the one he picked. He was only supposed to pick one, and he picked two. So he also picked anti-harassment, protection from someone who has committed unlawful harassment. So reading comprehension, not great. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but oh, here we go. Maybe he didn't have a problem. Maybe it's me. If more than one of the protection order types listed above fits your situation, list any additional types here. Anti-harassment. Who should the order restrain? Name F. I'm just going to call her F. I have found her. I have not approached her. I don't intend to. She seems like a perfectly normal young woman who will be turning 30 next year. She has a child. She's an artist. And I have no reason to, to contact her or try to get access to her or whatever. Just saying. I have looked her up, and she seems like a perfectly ordinary person. Who should the order protect? Grayson Yohr. Service address. How do the parties know each other? Current or former dating relationship. Live or have lived together. Why are you filing in this county and state? The protected person lives in this county now or used to live in this county. An incident that made me want this protection order happened in this county. Restrained person's residence in Washington State, Index, Washington. Are there other court cases involving the parties or any children? Yes. So I guess these are all dismissed and pending. So these are all temporary restraining orders. I gather the girl is in possession of she owns a handgun. And he has tried to suggest the fact that she owns a handgun, that he says that she threatened him with it. And so he's trying to get her to surrender her weapon and get a temporary restraining order. Both of those things were dismissed. And there's the assault. This is the assault, fourth degree assault, and that's the one that's pending, and that's the one that he was going to the trial for. And I'm just going to tell you now, there was already one trial for it, and it failed as I can't remember. I have the document. We'll look at it. It was a mistrial, or I can't remember exactly. Immediate weapons surrender. Do you want a temporary order that requires the restrained person to give up all firearms? He says yes. If yes to our 11 or 12, explain why. She's stalking me, coming to my van after work, forcing me to break restraining orders. She's used her gun against me in the past. She locked me in a room. She'll kill me. What protections do you need? I ask for a protection order with these restraints. No harm. Do not cause any physical harm, bodily injury, assault, non-consensual sexual conduct, non-consensual sexual penetration. Do not harass, threaten, or stalk. the protected person. No contact. No, do not make any attempts or have any contact, including non-physical contact, directly, indirectly, or through third parties. Exclude and stay away. Do not enter, return to, or knowingly come within or remain within 1,000 feet of the other or other distance of the protected person, the protected person's residence, the protected person's vehicle, the protected person's workplace. The protected person chooses to keep their address confidential. I gather he was living in a van at the time. And stalking behavior. Do not harass, follow, monitor, keep under physical or electronic surveillance, cyber harass, or use phone, video, audio, or other electronic means to record, photograph, or track locations or communications, including digital, wire, or electronic communication. I have a lot of information, and I might not get to all of it today, but somebody remind me if I don't that he has other charges from California to do with hacking and computer trespass. I suspect they may have to do with the person that he's was having issues with in California, that he would have had to go to court for that one tomorrow. Intimate images. Do not possess or distribute intimate images of a protected person. Personal belongings. The protected person shall have possession of all essential personal belongings. Fire pit, snowboard, gibber, jackets, toys, so things of his that she has, I guess. Restrict abusive litigation. Do not engage in abusive litigation as set forth in chapter blah, 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 in frivolous filings against the protected person. Pay fees and costs. Surrender weapons. Does the restrained person have a firearm? Yes. Would the restrained person's use of firearms or other dangerous weapons be a serious and immediate threat to anyone's health or safety? Yes. Even if the restrained person does not have firearms now, has the restrained person ever used firearms, other weapons? Yes. He's saying yes, but she has a firearm. So the question was, even if she doesn't have a firearm? Describe what happened. She pinned me up and told me if I left her, she would kill me or put me in jail. She pointed it at me, used it against me. Is the restrained person already not allowed to have firearms? And he says, unknown. And he says they were taken but given back. Do you need help from law enforcement? Possession of my essential personal belongings are located at the restrained person's residence. Length of the order. I need the order to last for more than 1 year. If you checked more or less than 1 year, briefly explain why. At least a year. She's trying to ruin and end my life. I don't want her to follow me. Why do you need a protection order? What happened? Most recent incident. What happened most recently that made you want a protection order? November 18th, she stalked me at my van, came to me when she has a protection order against me. She has had a protection order against him since 2023. It only just ended after he passed away. And she cut my hand and ruined my jacket, punched me, pushed me, and said if I said anything, she would say I broke the protection order. I told her we can't be friends. She went crazy and now is trying to press more charges on me. I'm afraid she'll hurt and kill me. Past incidents. There was many incidents. On November 3rd, she made me... It looks like it says hi. She made me hi? Oh, she made me sign a lease with her, then forced me to leave, started punching me, hitting me, and destroying my belongings. September 26th, she hit me and punched me. She's been stalking me and said, and I'm so afraid she'll kill me or keep trying to ruin my life. Medical treatment. Oh, no. Suicidal behavior. No. Restrained person's abuse. Is substance abuse involved? Yes. What type of substance? Alcohol. Minors? No. I'm attaching the following evidence to this petition. Oh, pictures, text messages. And he signs it all here and attaches the firearm. Incident. Does the restrained person owner have access to a firearm? Yes. Does the restrained person purchase owner have access to parts that could be assembled? Yes. Does the restrained person have a concealed pistol license? No. When was the last time you saw the firearm? October 20th. Do you know where the restrained person keeps the firearm? Yes. In their home. To the best of your knowledge, are the guns typically loaded? Yes. How important are firearms to the restrained person? Very important. Obviously, he's going to check that. What does the restrained person generally use for firearms? Target practice shooting. There's the handgun. This is what it looks like. There's multiple pictures of that. Firearm identity. This is just identifying the firearm. Handgun that was already surrendered, but case dropped due to her getting a lower something that I can't read. Sorry, it's garbled. So these are just worksheets so that he can identify the gun that she has. Order to surrender prohibited weapons. Restrained person, you must immediately. So this is the order to surrender the weapons. I'm not going to go through all of it. I don't think we need to know all those details. Temporary protection hearing notice. Warning. This is just all the warnings to the restrained person, what they can and can't do. The hearing and all that sort of stuff. It's not super relevant to to us. The court orders the restrained person, no harm, no contact, no stalking behavior, exclude and stay away. Don't share intimate images. Return personal belongings. This is all the same stuff that we went over. This is just about serving all these papers to the restrained person. So he says that he's got exhibits, but they aren't there. So that's his. And then we're going to get this is her response, right? So you're allowed to obviously respond. So this is the Superior Court of Washington, County of Chelan, I guess. Chelan. So IF hereby declare as follows. I am currently the respondent in this action. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein. I'm over 18. I'm competent to testify. Out of convenience, I will be referring to Grayson Yohr. The petitioner is Jackson. I am submitting this declaration in response to Jackson's petition for a protection order and in support of my motion to realign the parties. Jackson's petition is retaliatory and a continuation of his abuse towards me. On October 31st, 2023, Jackson was charged with DV assault in the fourth degree and interfering with reporting domestic violence. So he assaulted her and then he tried to stop her from reporting the assault. Please see Exhibit 1, Criminal Complaint on November 13th, 2023. The King County District Court entered a criminal no contact order protecting me. Please see Exhibit 2, No Contact Order. Since then, Jackson has repeatedly violated this no contact order and continued to abuse me both physically and by trying to control me. So, not sure if you remember Lauren. She loves to talk about coercive control. as this terrible, terrible thing, right? And just all of this is just reminding me, right, of the criminality of Lauren's family, the criminality of Lauren's lawyer, the criminality of Lauren's brother hiring the lawyer, the criminality of her father working without a law license, stealing from farmers their life savings, and the way that Lauren likes to say, that's his story. That's his story. That's my father's story. So I don't want to tell that story. So seems like, and we've seen already, right? Grayson trying to sue that DoorDash driver for 300 grand or some fucking thing for a little fender bender in a parking lot, right? So we already have the flavor of these people. So this is just, to my mind, this is extremely relevant in terms of the claims that they have had their innocence destroyed by these nasty people telling the truth about them. So see Exhibit 2, no contact order. Since then, Jackson has repeatedly violated this no contact order and continued to abuse me both physically and by trying to control me. Please see Exhibit 3, screenshot of text messages, and please see Exhibit 4, screenshot of call log showing numerous calls from Jackson. In many ways, he really has controlled me, and I did things like deleting photos of a bloody nose he caused and talked with him after the no contact order was entered when he said he was suicidal. But his anger and outbursts have just gotten worse. He has now filed this petition for a protection order to retaliate against me for reporting these recent violations and abuse. I'm asking the court to not be tricked by his false allegations. The King County District Court has already entered a no contact order against him because of his abuse and his attempts to stop me from reporting his abuse. Attached to this declaration are 10 exhibits that support my request to deny Jackson's petition, realign the parties, and grant me a protection order against Jackson. Response to petition for protection order. Jackson has not provided the court with any supporting evidence. Jackson's petition is filled with lies and false statements. I never threatened Jackson nor pointed a gun at him. Jackson is asking this court to carry out his abuse towards me, to punish me for reporting his violence, harassment, and violating the no contact order to the police. I am asking the court to understand the harmful nature of my relationship with Jackson. As I described below, he has recently been physical with me on multiple occasions, forced me to delete photos of a bloody nose he caused, and convinced me not to report a lot of this and even to dismiss my prior petition for protection. It's all the same playbook. Yep. Dismissed my prior petition for a protection order against him. He has repeatedly harmed or abused me in many ways, and I have gone back to him multiple times, but it has only gotten worse. I am seriously scared of him. I want to respond directly to Jackson's false allegations and will do that below. Jackson stated, she's stalking me, coming to my van after work, forcing me to break restraining orders. She's used her gun against me in the past. She locked me in a room. She'll kill me. I have never stalked Jackson. In fact, he lives out of his van, and there is no way for me to know where he would have been unless he told me where he was. Jackson violated the no contact order on his own volition, and I shouldn't have responded to his numerous texts and phone calls. I never locked Jackson in a room, and as I described below, he was the one who blocked me from leaving my residence in Index, Washington on the night of November 2nd. I have never used my gun against Jackson. I have never pointed my gun at Jackson or at anyone. Jackson stated November 18th, she stalked me at my van, came to me when she has a protection order against me, pushed me, and said if I said anything, she would say I broke the protection order. I told her we can't be friends. She went crazy and now is trying to press more charges on me. I'm afraid she'll hurt me and kill me. He was living out of his van at that point. Yes, lover of bad puns. I'm inclined to believe her after watching that video too, Moira Dog's mom. I mean, it sounded exactly like what it was. Ass covering, right? Shifting the blame shifting, narrative building. Just like what we know these people do, right? They all have the same playbook. Exactly. Marty Ross says, so he has this going on, and Grayson went on YouTube, HTC, talking about her family of origin mental health issues. Seems, well, yeah, she did. There's an episode. I was trying to get the raw footage of it, or the raw audio of it, but I haven't been able to. But there's a Patreon episode where Grayson talks about her brother and his autism. And I can't recall the content of it, but I have it up, so we might get a chance to look at it later if I don't run out of steam. So responding to his statement, she says, on November 18th and on multiple occasions on previous days, Jackson had expressed to me he was very suicidal and wanted to act upon those thoughts. He asked me to meet him that night in Leavenworth, Washington. So I obliged to make sure he was okay and didn't hurt himself. I did not stalk Jackson. He shared where he was over a phone call, and we met at his van parked outside Alpines Lake Elementary School. We shared drinks and food at Icicle Brewing Company. I did not push Jackson except in self-defense when he pushed me and verbally threatened to hit me in the face, and he stated, I hope you die. Jackson was the one who threatened me and then chased me in his car while I was running away from him on foot. This incident is further described in this declaration on pages 9 and 10. Jackson stated there was many incidents. On November 3rd, she made me sign a lease with her, then forces me to leave, started punching me and hitting me and destroying my belongings. September 26th, she hit me and punched me. She's been stalking me, and I'm so afraid she'll kill me or keep trying to ruin my life. I never forced Jackson to sign a lease. He and I signed a copy that was never finalized or signed by the owner of the property. Jackson moved out of the trailer, but I still live there. I never punched or hit Jackson or destroyed his belongings on the night of November 2nd into the early morning of November 3rd. In fact, Jackson had pushed and attacked me on this night, barred me from leaving my own residence, snatched my phone out of my hands, and threw water and juice on me multiple times. I have video recordings of him snatching my phone out of my hand, blocking the doorway from me leaving, and holding a metal rod up as he tells me to just walk past him. I told she must have been terrified. I told Jackson he needed to leave because of his actions of violence against me. This incident is further described in this declaration on pages 7 and 8. Our relationship was characterized by Jackson's control over me. He made me give him 24/7 access to my location using my phone GPS. He had me remove contacts for most of my friends from my phone. Jackson would become verbally aggressive, using words such as liar, whore, and slut when I did not comply with his wishes. When Jackson and I weren't living together, he would drive by my home to check and see that I was home when I told him I was. Jackson would demand video calls to make sure I was alone. Jackson used his living situation, he lives out of his car, to tell me the only reason he was in Washington was for me and that I should give him money to support that and not break up with him. Jackson also used intimidating language, telling me that no one would believe me if I went to the police. Why do you say that sounds like they're both toxic? Dr. Melmo, just wondering. Jackson says I'm stalking him and harassing him, but as the exhibits below show, on November 18th, Jackson called me over 20 times and texted me over a dozen more times in one day, in violation of the no contact order. Please see exhibits 3 and 4. Charming fellow, yeah. Ancient Teapot says this is not autism, this is sociopathy, psychopathy. Well, something not fucking right with Grayson. That's for sure. This is why I saw him on November 18th, 2023. He kept telling me how upset and suicidal he was. He is the one who made unwanted contact with me. And then when I relented and met up with him, he ended up getting physically abusive to me and chased me in his car as I was running away in the street. Jackson has a history of filing retaliatory protection orders. And all these years later, he's up to the same shit in California, right? With that other woman, the stuff that we looked at the other day. He would have been in court for that tomorrow. He should have been facing a jury trial, for those of you who weren't here, when he was driving up to court and had to be there at 8:45 on Thursday the 6th. It was to be the defendant in a jury trial, not even a bench trial. And he's talking about people wasting police time, wasting public resources. Pattern, that's the name of the video, Carolina, patterns of behavior. And it's a very similar to the pattern of Grayson's behavior, right? Of being exposed and then weaponizing the police to cover up what they did. Very, very similar. In support of Jackson's protection order, he included copies of a petition and temporary protection order he obtained in King County. This petition was filed in retaliation for me filing a petition for protection the day before. I filed a petition for protection order in King County District Court on October 8th, 2023. And that's what all those things we saw at the beginning were. That was all the lead up to this in the Superior Court. It all started in the civil courts, right? This was in retaliation and an attempt to intimidate me, and it worked. Before either hearing occurred, Jackson convinced me to dismiss my petition and that he would dismiss his as well. I hired a lawyer who helped us do this. I should not have done that. I should not have returned to Jackson. I should have stayed away and reported all of his abuse, but I didn't do that, and his abuse continued. I'm asking the court to deny his request for a protection order and to protect me from his continued abuse. This court should realign the parties and enter a protection order that designates me as the petitioner, protected party, and Jackson as the respondent. So I think realign the parties means like, right, he's doing the Darvo thing and she's wanting to put herself in the position of the actual victim, right? He's doing the deny attack, reverse victim offender, and she wants to realign that. That's how I understand that. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what it seems like to me. Okay, okay, never mind. I am the victim and survivor of Jackson's abuse. Jackson has physically abused me. Jackson has coerced me not to report his abuse. Jackson has repeatedly violated a criminal no-contact order that was put in place to protect me because he was charged with domestic violence, assault 4th degree, and interfering with reporting domestic violence. I am asking the court to review the attached evidence and see that Jackson is using this protection order process as a way to punish me for reporting his abuse in violations of the no contact order. Sound familiar? A way to punish the people, right, who reported on Lauren's behavior. Sounds very fucking familiar to me. I don't believe, not that I ever did, for 1 second, that Lauren and GraeBae are having a faith crisis because they've lost their faith in humanity, because this is fucking lies, and they used his death to get clicks on her channel, and she very strategically left out where he was heading. Right? This is This is Grayson's brother, who I was looking him up the other day to see, because I was going to do a show about Grayson, and I was looking up to see if I could find the obituary or something just to kind of share whatever updates there were about that. And I came across a court case involving him taking out a protection order against a woman in California who was taking out a protection order against him back. Somebody then sent me a video that he posted when he was setting off on the trip where he ultimately had the accident that ended his life. And he says at the beginning of that video, I'm heading to Washington for court. I have to be there at 8:45 a.m. on Thursday. So I looked it up, And this is what he was doing. He was going for a jury trial for the assault of his girlfriend in 2023. And it was the second jury trial because the first one, I can't remember. I have the documents, but the first one either was a mistrial for some reason or it was a hung jury. Yeah, Holy Hannah, exactly. Maury says, my mom dragged a friend to court after the friend said she didn't need to go because an RO filed against her had been dropped, according to the filer. My mom saw the ruse and saved her. Yeah. Yeah. Just awful, hey? Anyway, so this is the woman that he assaulted. This is her declaration, her response to him trying to take out a protection order against her. Below, I will provide the court with a comprehensive timeline of events and supporting evidence that shows Jackson's repeated physical abuse, harassment, and coercive control, all directed to me. During my relationship with Jackson, we broke up multiple times and then would get back together. I am not proud that I kept returning to this violent person. She just comes across to me, I mean, she comes across as very believable, right? I mean, it could just be that she has a better grasp of the English language, but I'm just giving you the evidence. You can all judge for yourself. On September 26, 2023, at around 8 p.m., Jackson and I were in my car at Hartman Park in Redwood, Washington. Jackson found a random person's receipt in my car, excuse me, that had stuck to the bottom of my bag. Anybody who's ever been in a relationship like this knows exactly where this is fucking going. Jackson immediately thought I was cheating on him with this person and began yelling at me in hysterics with abusive and derogatory language. He called me a whore and a slut repeatedly. I was in the driver's seat while Jackson was in the front passenger seat. Jackson then began pushing me and punching me with a closed fist painfully in the chest. At this point, I was scared for my safety because Jackson had just hit me. I told him to leave my car. He refused to leave the car, so I swung my arm at Jackson and made contact with his temple. I got out of the car to check and see if Jackson was okay. He didn't have any injury on his face or body. You notice how she's admitting this and he never even said anything, right? And she's owning up to it. This is what, I just feel like she's being genuine. Then Jackson started throwing all of my belongings out of the car onto the ground. Jackson was throwing things everywhere. I was outside of the car and Jackson threw a full water bottle straight at my face. I began to bleed from my nose. I took a picture of my bloody nose and then got in the car and left. Jackson called me on my phone and told me not to call the police because he has been to jail before. Right? Don't call the cops. They'll go to jail for a long time, right? I'll go to jail for a long time. He convinced me to meet him at Jewel Park in Redmond. When I got there, he demanded that I delete the photo evidence of my bleeding nose. I deleted the photos and he told me not to tell anyone what had happened. I finally reported this to the police on October 8th and was given the case number, blah, 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 Police Exhibit 5, police report and victim statement. On October 1st, 2023, which was just the second day in the house we started renting, Jackson woke me up in my sleep in a rage and says he saw someone's name pop up on my phone. I allowed Jackson to search through my whole phone. He searched it and found nothing, but he got angrier and again started shouting at me and calling me a whore and a slut. Jackson started saying he was going to leave, but he didn't. He started to calm down, so I started to water my plants. While I was carrying 2 potted plants, Jackson knocked them out of my hands with his hand and then left the room. Jackson came back into the room and charged into me, knocking me backwards from the doorway. Then Jackson started breaking my belongings. At this point, I was very scared he was going to hurt me again. I told Jackson I was scared of him, and Jackson started yelling back at me, "I don't care that you're scared." I mean, innocent until proven guilty, llama pajama. Innocent until proven guilty is for the courts. Right? I mean, I don't think that we are obliged to assume that anyone is innocent until they're proven guilty. I think that we can look at the evidence and make decisions ourselves. Obviously, we can't go out and, say for a fact that we know these things. But I think that we are perfectly in our rights to say, in my opinion, she is very credible. He is not credible. Her story is very similar to many, many, many stories of abuse, right? Like, I think that we're okay to make our to develop opinions based on this evidence. At this point, Jackson was fully in the room. I was facing the center of the room from the door, and he was facing towards the door. Jackson ran at me, and I stumbled backwards again. I was scared and needed help, so I went upstairs to inform the house owner what had happened. This de-escalated the situation with Jackson. He left that night. But unfortunately, later that day, the landlord requested that we both move out immediately. So yeah, big surprise. She had to sacrifice her home because, yeah, they've been living there for 2 days. You think the landlord wants anything to do with this? I mean, you can't actually blame them, right? It's awful. On October 8th, 2023, after talking with friends and realizing how scared I was of him, I made a police report to Redmond Police for the incident where Jackson threw the water bottle at my face and then made me delete the photos and was given the case number blah, blah, blah. I also made a police report to the Snohomish Sheriff about the October 1st incident at the house we were renting in Gold Bar. The police encouraged me to file for a protection order. On October 9th, 2023, I filed a petition for a protection order and was granted a temporary protection order against Jackson in the King County District Court. Those are all the ones we looked at the beginning, right? On October 10th, Jackson filed a retaliatory petition for a protection order in a King County Superior Court. I couldn't get a hold of that one. They don't allow those ones out. King County doesn't, the Superior Courts doesn't let you have access to those unless you are the petitioner, the respondent, the judge, the lawyer, or, there's a few other exceptions, but just members of the public, no. So we can't see that one, but I'm sure it's very much like the one we already looked at. At Jackson's insistence and direction, I hired a lawyer to help us dismiss both of our petitions. Both cases were dismissed, so she paid for all that. On October 31st, 2023, Jackson was charged in King County District Court for assault in the fourth degree, DV, intimate partner, and interfering with domestic violence reporting, intimate partner. Please see Exhibit 1, criminal complaint. The charges were based on the September 26th incident when he hit me in the car and then eventually threw a water bottle at my face and then told me to delete the photo of my bloody nose. On November 2nd, 2023, at around 9 p.m., Jackson woke me up asking if he could drive my car to the main road to get Wi-Fi cell service. We had just moved into a trailer together in Index, Washington. I told him I was sleeping and didn't want to. Eventually, he convinced me to drive him. When we got back to my trailer, he left in his own car. He texted me asking if I wanted to break up, and I said yes. I had already endured domestic violence from him in the past, and I was at my breaking point, so I asked him to leave. He returned in his car and entered the trailer, where I sat on my bed with him facing me for an hour as he ranted to me about wanting to keep the relationship. I did not agree, and he eventually threw water on me 3 separate times and also threw a glass of juice at me. He then jumped on me and started attacking me. I did everything in my power to resist him. During his attack and in my defense, I sustained bruises and took photos of these bruises. Please see Exhibit 6. Yeah, you can see why Grayson and Lauren click so well. Yep. HMS Gen X lady. And Maury says the pathology in Lauren's family is undeniable. In what universe is your father a disbarred convicted felon who stole from farmers and yet still a revered patriarch because playing banjo is cute? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And that's what they want you to, that's what they want to do with Jackson here, right? Oh, he was just this, he was just like a grinder. He was just like a snowboarder, skateboarder type, right? Oh, he was just a good guy. He's just on the spectrum. He just needed a little help, right? Sounds like an abuser to me, straight up. I don't. Maybe he had some autism. I couldn't say, but I don't see how that changes anything that we've seen here. I then went to the bathroom to change my clothes because I was soaking wet, and he tried to console me by petting my arm while I was crying in the bathroom. I told him to stop touching me, and he did. I came out of the bathroom and told him he needed to leave. At this point, he was packing his things and blocking the only walkway out of the trailer. He was not allowing me to leave. I told him numerous times he needs to let me leave because I did not feel safe, but he continued to block the walkway, telling me to just walk past him. I knew what he would do if I got close to him. He had just attacked. I ended up escaping out of the breakaway window in the back of the trailer. I got out of the trailer and went to the front door. Jackson started demanding that I send him money because he said his phone screen broke when he attacked me. He said he wouldn't leave if I didn't send him money. I sent him $150 via Zelle. Yeah. It's Brad Pitt, who was drinking again, Lucy. I'm not sure if you know that. And he's like out there proud, like, yeah, I'm drinking again. I'm good. I'm good now. I got it under control. I'm fine. He's like doing the talk show circuit, telling everybody how he's good to go. I went back in the trailer to make sure he wasn't breaking any more of my belongings. I again told him he had to leave, and he started blocking the walkway to get out of the trailer. I have a video recording of him blocking the walkway, holding a metal rod up as he tells me to walk past him. If the court allows, I can play this to the court. The recording also shows when he snatched my phone out of my hand. We wrestled as I tried to get my phone back. I got it back, and he stood in front of the door, blocking me from leaving, saying, "You can leave, go ahead," as he stood against the doorway. He stood there for hours until at least 3 a.m. So I slept in the trailer in my bed, soaked from the water he threw. He refused to leave and ended up crawling into bed with me. I felt trapped in my own residence and also unable to call 911 because of his constant emotional and psychological manipulation throughout our whole relationship. And at my trailer, there is no cell phone service, and I hadn't set up Wi-Fi calling. I did report this incident to the police in Gold Bar, Washington, and was given a case number, blah, 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 but I have not received a copy of the report yet. On November 13th, 2023, Jackson had his arraignment in King County District Court. He was charged with domestic violence, assault in the 4th degree, and interfering with my attempt to report domestic violence. Please see Exhibit 7, Conditions for Release. The judge also entered a no-contact order that protected me from contact with Jackson. Please see Exhibit 2, No Contact Order. On November 18th, please hit the like if you haven't yet, just to remind people. Like, share, subscribe, penny chats are in the pinned comment, all that stuff. Forgot to mention it before. Also, these are just my opinions. On November 18th, Jackson repeatedly called and texted me. Please see Exhibits 3 and 4. I did answer his phone after a while, and he explained that he was very suicidal and wanted to meet in Leavenworth for dinner. I agreed and drove to see him to make sure he was okay. We met around 8 p.m. and agreed to go to the liquor store to buy alcohol. I bought a bottle and we drank a little together before walking to Icicle Brewing Company in Leavenworth. At the restaurant, he became angry as he requested I give him the bottle that I paid for. I said no, and he stormed out of the restaurant. Thinking he was gone, I began walking to my parked car and realized he was waiting for me. He followed me and tried talking to me, but I clearly said multiple times to leave me alone. He followed me to my car and demanded I let him drive. At this point, I was scared what he would do if I said no. I obliged and let him drive because I knew he would not leave me alone. He drives us to his parked car about a mile away. He grabbed the liquor bottle from my trunk and tried to leave with my belongings. I get out of the car and tell him he can't take my belongings, and as we are standing outside the driver's side door, he threatened to punch me in the face and said, "I hope you die." He then started pouring the alcohol out of the bottle onto me and my driver's seat. He did this because he went on to make a false report that I was drunk driving, and I assume he thought the police would smell the liquor in the car. While my keys are in my hand, he ripped them from my hand and threw them across the street, which ended up slicing my finger open. Please see Exhibit 8, photographs of cut fingers. Yeah, it's really gross, right? It may explain why Grayson finds Lauren's behavior normal if her closest sibling is chaotic. Chaos is normal for her. Yeah, I mean, also she's a psycho. Ancient Teapot says both the men who stalked me pulled the self-defense card. It's such horror. It's a very typical pattern for an abuser, this stuff. Right? Just gross. I just got to where you responded to me. Yes, I'm not criticizing you or your opinion reporting on this. I'm just saying I won't make a definite opinion. It does not look good, though. Yikes. Yeah, I'm a pajama. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't criticizing you either, hon. I just am saying, right, as far as the whole, what about free speech? Free speech is literally like, it basically means the government can't come after you, right? People can you can still get consequences for what you say, just that the government is not allowed to put you in jail for your opinions. So anyway, I ran to grab my keys and walk away from him as I was very scared for my safety. Again, I told him to stay away from me. He began to follow me on foot again. I started to run away from him. He walked away and got in his car and circled the block. At this point, I called my friend because I was so scared he would begin to follow me with his car. I was running back and forth trying to get away from him as he followed me through the neighborhood. I finally thought he had left, so I ran back to my car and sat in the passenger seat and locked the doors. He came back again in his car and writes a note that he wedges into my driver's side door and drives away. Please see Exhibit 9, photo of the letter. I waited in my car for some time to make sure he wasn't coming back, and then finally drove home once I felt safe and able to drive safely. He called 22 times over the course of this event, and even while I was driving home. Please see Exhibit 4, screenshot of call log. He also had a friend of his or someone call me from a private number and ask, "Are you going to call the cops on Jackson?" Please see Exhibit 4, screenshot of call log. On November 20th, 2023, I reported this event to the police in Leavenworth, Washington. Please see Exhibit 10, copy of police report. No, this is a different woman, Molly Colleen. This is a young woman in Washington. So the woman in California is 49. This woman will be 30. She's 29. And this took place in 2023. And now he's got the exact same thing going on in California, where he has been charged with assault against this woman, and then he has tried to get a restraining order against her. This is exactly what he did to this woman, charged with assault, and then tried to get a restraining order. Conclusion. I was shocked that Jackson filed for a protection order against me after everything he's done to me. I know I shouldn't have allowed any contact between Jackson and me, but he has always been able to convince me to come back by threats and violence. It's very confusing and scary, but his outbursts and anger have only gotten worse. For these reasons, I'm asking the court to enter a civil protection order to protect me from Jackson. The court should deny his request, realign the parties, and grant me a protection order. Jackson is the abuser in this case, and I am the victim. I have presented the court with substantial documentation and evidence of Jackson's abuse and subsequent violations of the no contact order. Jackson has not presented any evidence to support his false allegations. Jackson filed this case in bad faith as retaliation for me reporting his abuse to law enforcement. You know what this reminds me of a bit too is, remember she admitted that she smacked him after he had hit her or whatever. Do you remember when Gabby Petito was talking to the cops, right? And eventually they said she was the abuser, and they put him in Brian Laundrie, they put him in a safe house and, pegged her as the abuser. She admitted to smacking him or grabbing the steering wheel or whatever. after he had been torturing her and tormenting her for days and weeks at that point. But she was honest about it. And I feel like there's a similar vibe here, right? Thank you for taking the time to understand what I've been going through. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Washington that the attached statement is true and correct, signed on this 8th day of December 2023. So it's just interesting to me, the pattern, seeing her go back and forth and stuff. And because this is very normal, right? And anybody who wants to judge her for that is unclear on how these patterns of behavior work and how victims get roped into this stuff and then blame themselves because, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. He was seen in the town abusing GraeBae. Yeah, but the cops didn't know that, right? And she was confused, like this girl is. GraeBae was confused, right? She thought he loved her. So there must be a way to work this out, right? She didn't know she was dealing with a predator any more than this young girl did, right? Maury says, I don't like a 40-something-year-old woman hooking up with a 20-something. Don't care about his gender. Not saying she's lying, but the optics are garbage. Yes, I mean, I would agree with that. But I'm just saying he's got a charge of domestic violence followed up by a restraining order. The pattern is unmistakable. All of this is in Washington and all of that is in California. 2 different women, exact same situation. So these are the exhibits. City of Redmond, Jackson, Yohr. So this is the exhibit 1 is the above name. This is the domestic assault charge. So the above named defendant is hereby accused of the crimes assault in the 4th degree, DV, intimate partner, committed as follows: that the defendant in the County of King, City of Redmond, Washington, in or about September 26, 2023, did intentionally assault F by conduct including but not limited to striking, punching, and that said acts were intentional and not in self-defense, contrary to law, blah, 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 and further do accuse the defendant Jackson Robert Yohr at the said time of committing the above crime against an intimate partner as defined in RCW, blah, 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 dated October 31st. City of Redmond versus Jackson Robert Yohr. The above named defendant is hereby accused of the crimes interfering with domestic violence, reporting intimate partner, gross misdemeanor, committed as follows. So for anybody who's just joining us or who wasn't here before, Grayson's brother Jackson Yohr, when he was ultimately in the accident that ultimately took his life, was on his way to Washington, D.C. to attend a jury trial where he was the defendant in this case here. And just interestingly, Lauren and Grayson left that out of their announcement about his death, that's where he was headed, because they were busy trying to get credit for Grayson paying for the doggy daycare that he was going to put the dog in while he was in court for assaulting his girlfriend 3 years ago. So that's what these documents that we're reading are. So the defendant in the County of King, City of Richmond, Washington, on or about September 26th, having committed a crime of domestic violence as defined by RCW 1099-20 and did intentionally prevent or attempt to prevent the victim of or a witness to that domestic violence crime from calling 911 emergency communication system, obtaining medical assistance, or making a report to any law enforcement official, contrary to RCW 9A 36-150 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Washington. Nicely said. I like that. And further do accuse the defendant Jackson Robert Yohr at said time of committing the above crime against an intimate partner as defined in RCW 1099-20 8, which is a crime of domestic violence as defined in blah, blah. So those are the documents of the crimes that he was going to court for. Yeah, is there going to be another 9-hour live? Yeah, possibly. This time it'll be Grayson blubbering. So Exhibit 2, King County District Court of Washington, East Division, Redmond Courthouse, Jackson Yohr, defendant, protected persons identifiers. So this is the protective order against protecting the woman. So that's what this exhibit is. I'm not going to go through it all. We went through one before. We know what it looks like, but that's her exhibit. Exhibit 3 is text messages. Please just stop, okay? Please just answer. I need to know you're okay. So she's texting him, I guess. Oh, no, it's him. I need to know you're okay. I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you have a wonderful, amazing, beautiful life and take care of yourself. I'm sorry. I'm just going to leave. So starting at 10:29, then 10:30, then 10:36, then 10:50. You alone for good. I'm really sorry. I hope you have a great, long, successful, happy life. I'ma just leave you alone for good. I'm really, really sorry. 10:51. I'll always pray for you and want nothing but the best. I didn't tell them your full plate or car or the mile marker or who I was. I really didn't want you to drive drunk, and I wish tonight never happened, and I wish you nothing but the greatness. So I think what he's talking about is saying that he didn't give the police enough information to actually find her when he called them and claimed that she was driving drunk after pouring alcohol all over her and the inside of her car. But he really wishes her nothing but the best. I'm going to block you on everything now. I don't want you to get in trouble. 10:52 p.m. This is after he's called the police and dumped alcohol over her and is trying to get her a DUI charge. Take care. I really love you. I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you have a wonderful life. I'm sorry, I'm just going to leave. Oh, here, blah, blah. Oh, it seems like these are just doubles. Oh, no. Here it is. I don't want you to get in trouble. 10:52. Take care. I left and I'm heading to the mountain. 10:53. Have a really great life. I really don't want to get you into trouble. 10:56. All right. I got to block you. Have a good one. 10:57. Exhibit 4. This is him. This is the phone calls. 12 a.m., 12:06 a.m., 12:07 a.m., 12:14 a.m., 11:59 p.m., 10:56, 10:50, 10:48. Jackson 3 times in 1 minute. 2 times in 1 minute. 10:30, 10:30, 10:27, 10:27, 10:20, 9:41, 9:40, 7:13. Exhibit 5. Mandatory court appearance date. Domestic violence, assault, fourth degree. This is more of that kind of stuff. Narrative. Okay, witness information. Oh, so this is the police report, I guess. Officer C. Cook, time, date, witness information. Enter all witness information. Additional suspects. Victim statement from F. DV supplemental form. Photo of suspect. Okay, so this is the cops report. On October 8th, 2023, at about 8:55 hours, I responded to a person contact in the Redmond Police Department lobby with a highly distraught female, later identified as F. F was crying while trying to get the words out, but had to stop herself multiple times in order to catch a breath. After a few minutes, F was able to calm down, catch her breath, and explain to me an incident that occurred between her and her now ex-boyfriend, Jackson Yohr. Birth date, May 15th, 1999. May 18th, sorry. That was my grandmother's birthday, May 18th. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah, big surprise, eh, Glam Dolly? Grayson's brother was clearly an inadequate abuser and a long-time loser. What a surprise. Yeah, not. Jackson was stalking and obsessed with her. Yep. And I gather this is not like that. We have these 2 incidences that we know of because of police reports and stuff, but I gather this is not new. Anyway, okay. F stated that she and Jackson met back in April 2023 while snowboarding in Oregon. The two started dating, and as the relationship progressed, they arranged to move in with each other on September 30th, 2023. About a week before the move-in date on September 26, 2023, F and Jackson were hanging out in F's vehicle at Hartman Park in Redmond. F was in the driver's seat and Jackson was sitting in the passenger seat. All of a sudden, Jackson noticed there was a receipt stuck to the bottom of F's backpack and accused F of cheating on him. Jackson became increasingly upset at F and began punching F in the chest area. F started yelling at Jackson to get out of her car. Jackson refused to get out, so F flailed her right arm in Jackson's direction and shoved him. Notice, same story, right? Same story. And she's admitting what she did. Then jumped out of the vehicle and walked over to the passenger side to check on Jackson. Jackson opened up the front passenger door and started throwing F's stuff outside of the vehicle. Jackson then grabbed a full water bottle and threw it directly at F's face. The full water bottle hit F right in the nose. F grabbed her nose in pain and realized her nose was bleeding. She then ran back to the driver's seat. As Jackson exited the vehicle, F left the scene in her vehicle. Jackson called F and asked to meet with her at Jewel Park. Jackson stated he did not want F to report the incident to police and was scared of going to jail because he'd been there before. Jackson went on to tell F that there was no point in reporting things to police because police would not believe her, just like they had not believed prior girls he dated who had lied about other incidents. F went on to explain that she had taken photos of her injuries, but Jackson made her delete the photos that night. F showed me text messages between the two of them from today, October 8th, 2023, where Jackson kept asking F whether she had told her mother or anyone else about the incident, and he was afraid she's going to put me in jail. Reference the photo of this text message conversation that has been uploaded into evidence.com. F stated multiple times in the interview that she is scared of Jackson and in fear of what he is capable of. F stated that there has not been any prior physical incidents before the one on September 26, 2023, but Jackson would sometimes joke around with F and state, "Sometimes I feel like I want to kill you," and asked F if she thought Jackson would follow through with this threat, and she responded that after he assaulted her, she is afraid of him coming after her, especially since he knows where she lives. Jackson continued to bother F after the incident on September 26, 2023, and kept asking if she had told anyone. F did not tell Jackson this, but she had told some friends, and they finally convinced F to file a police report today, October 8th, 2023. F was still scared to report it, for she did not know what the repercussions would come of it if Jackson found out. I asked F where Jackson lives, and she stated that Jackson lives out of a van, camper, or Oregon plate number, blah, blah, blah. She thought that he might be staying around Stevens Pass, for he recently got a job at the ski resort. F provided me with Jackson's phone number and some pictures of him and his vehicle. F then completed a victim statement form and DV supplemental form. I then walked F through the process of obtaining a court order and provided her with some DV pamphlets. I notified F to call police if Jackson tries to come to her residence in Redmond, Washington, where she lives with her mother. F stated she understood. Within the interview, F mentioned that Jackson was physical with her on September 30th, 2023, when the two of them tried moving in with each other in Gold Bar, Washington. F did not report this incident to police either, but reported to her landlord that she was scared of Jackson. The next day, on October 1st, 2023, the landlord kicked both of them out, and they packed up their stuff in their separate vehicles and left. I notified F to report this specific incident to Gold Bar Police Department since it happened in their jurisdiction. F stated that she understood. She is 2023, and she was born in 97. So she's going to be 30 next year, and that is 4 years. So she was 26 when all of this was going on, and he was, I think, 24. He's younger by 2 years, I think. So this is the cop still. I asked if she had any questions or anything else to report. F stated that she did not. I contacted Jackson via phone and asked him about the incident on the 26th of September 2023. Jackson stated he thought F was cheating on him, and the two started arguing. Jackson stated that F punched him in the face. Jackson started throwing F's items out of her vehicle when he thought a water bottle may have bounced off the car and hit her in the face, minimizing. Jackson stated he did not physically assault F in any way. I asked Jackson if he prevented F from calling the police, and he said he did not. In fact, he did not call the police because he was worried F was going to get arrested. Jackson then changed his story and stated he was afraid to call police because 9 times out of 10, police always arrest the male. I ended our conversation by notifying Jackson that he will be charged through investigation for DV assault for and interfering with reporting of domestic violence. This concludes my involvement. I certify under penalty of perjury, etc., etc. So it just keeps on going, right? It's pretty damning stuff. So this is the witness statement for the day that it happened, right? At Hartman Park on September 26th around 8 p.m., Jackson Yohr is sitting in the passenger seat of my car. He finds a receipt in my car and starts yelling. I don't think I need to read all of this. We've already gone through this story, right? So this is when he throws the water bottle in her face. Same stuff. He's called her, trying to get her to stop calling the cops, getting her to delete the pictures of her bloody nose. And then these are pictures, I guess. It looks like she's got a bruise up here. Looks like she's got some bruises on her face here, on her leg. State of Washington, County of King, City of Redmond, plaintiff, Jackson Yohr, defendant. The court has found probable cause for count 1, assault 4th degree. The court has found probable cause for count 2, interfere with reporting. The defendant released upon personal recognizance. So he was arrested, he was taken in, went through the whole thing. You have to appear for all scheduled court hearings. You have to report any change of address. Right. And do you remember in the video at the beginning, he goes, I just found out I'm going to be there on Thursday. Like he wouldn't have been kept up to speed with what was going on in his case. And he also claimed that he was forced to quit his job so that he could attend the trial. Right. So he would have blamed her for that, I'm quite sure. Exhibit 8 is her hand. You can see she's all ripped up. Her skin's all ripped up here from when she was holding the keys and he ripped them out of her hands. Wendy Coco says, I have a master's certification in neuro-linguistic programming. Oh, really? That's so interesting. Go back and listen to and watch the video Lauren did where she announced his passing. It takes on a much different flavor. We watched it at the beginning, Wendy. I'll play it again maybe at the end. But yeah, I played it again for that very reason, right? And she actually says, and Jackson was on his way somewhere, she says, and neglects to mention that he was on his way to a trial for assaulting his girlfriend in 2023. Yeah, you can see her finger's been split open there by the keys. Exhibit 9 is the note that he put on her car. Please don't be mad. Please don't call the police. I love you. I wish you all the best. I really hoped we could work out. We could work this stuff out. I really love you. Mm-hmm. They're very sentimental, these people. I mean, they're not, but they act very sentimental after they do terrible things. Chelan County Sheriff's Department incident report. Complainant F is the complainant. Yeah, sorry. These are just incident reports. Narrative on November 20th, 2023 at approximately 14:48 hours. I, Deputy L. McComas, was on uniformed patrol in Leavenworth, Washington. I was dispatched to Rivercom to a domestic disturbance which occurred near the intersection of Pine Street and Titus Road in Leavenworth on November 18th. F called to report a domestic violence protection order violation between her and her ex-boyfriend, Jackson R. I called Jackson, I called F, who already returned to her home in Redmond, Washington. She explained she dated Jackson for months, and this fall he was arrested for assaulting her by Redmond Police Department. F said she was the protected person in an order against Jackson in September of 2023, but she had the order dropped because they were getting along. Jackson then filed an order against her, and again it was dropped soon after. F said a third-party order was served on Jackson on November 13th, 2023, listing her as the protected party. Rivercom confirmed the order was in effect. One subsection of the order states the following: the subject is restrained from making any communication with the protected person, etc. F admitted that they have communicated several times by video phone calls since the order was served on Jackson. She claims he manipulates her and convinces her to continue seeing him. F agreed to meet Jackson in Leavenworth, where he is currently living and working. According to her, Jackson lives in a blue Ford Econoline van with an Oregon license plate. He works at an unknown business downtown and plans to work at Stevens Pass Ski Resort this winter. On November 18th, F drove to Leavenworth and met Jackson near Alpine Lakes Elementary School. They walked to the Icicle Brewing Company, shared drinks. At one point during the meal, Jackson tried to take F's drink that she paid for, which upset her. F admitted they consumed alcohol prior to the dinner. At one point, Jackson had possession of F's keys because he didn't want her to drive intoxicated. That's what he said. This isn't very well written. He gave her the keys back before she ran off crying into the neighborhood. Jackson followed her in his vehicle until she returned to her car. He placed an apology note on her vehicle and drove away. He continued to call and text her, asking if she was okay and if she was going to report their time together to the courts. F said she had not responded to Jackson since that night. I asked why she waited 2 days to report the order violation, and she admitted it was because she spoke with a neighbor who was a domestic violence attorney, and he told her to report it. Good job, neighbor. I explained to her it is Jackson's responsibility to follow the conditions of the order, but the order is in place to protect her from him. An order does not protect you if you are willing to drive several hours to have dinner with the person you filed the order against. I mean, the order doesn't protect you anyway, but F said she understood and claimed Jackson manipulated her into visiting him. I explained the cycle of violence and how she needs to use this protection order as her chance to create space and break the cycle she is finding herself in. I provided F with the case number and my email. She sent me screenshots of their text messages and call history since the order was served on Jackson. I went to the Icicle Brewing Company, and a manager was able to show me security footage of Jackson and F walking in at 20:35 hours and ordering drinks and food. They sat upstairs together. Jackson was wearing a red baseball hat, blue sweatshirt, and black pants. F wore a black coat with a beige shirt and pants. They each paid for their own drink and food. I will upload the photographs to the CCSO digital storage drive. So good job following up and going getting the body or the video footage. I have probable cause to arrest Jackson for domestic violence. As of December 4th, 2023, I have not located Jackson or his vehicle. Charges will be forwarded to the Chelan County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. End of report. So victim's name, the charges, the vehicle, incident report. Yeah, so that's the end of all those. That's the end of that. I do have another document that just shows that they denied or dismissed one of his efforts at getting a applause to this officer, right? Getting this sorry, I lost track of what I was saying. I'm reading other people's things. Dollars to Donuts, Lauren and GraeBae discussed what Lauren would say about the death so that they can control the narrative. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, if you notice, let's listen to it again. We'll just put it on now. You guys can listen to it again. But Lauren says, I have permission. I was given permission. I got permission to say this. She says it multiple times at the beginning. God, here she is. Here she is, the lovely Lauren. I think this is it. Hang on.
Little sister, and he is the older brother, and her cat. So I'll just tell you, I can.
Yeah, hang on.
I'll just tell you, I can share this. I'm allowed to share this. She said I could. Grayson, I saw that you're in chat. So, last night, so Grayson's brother, they're 2 years apart, and she's always, I'll say this, everyone has their struggles, and her brother really, really relies on Grayson, and I've noticed this, reaches out to her, even though she is his little sister and he is the older brother. He reaches out to her whenever he needs help, and she is always willing to help him. And last night,
she provides aid and comfort to the abuser. Right? And last night, she was willing to pay for his daycare, dog daycare, while he was at trial for assaulting his girlfriend. These law and order folk over here at Hidden True Crime.
He called her looking for that help. He was on his way somewhere and all of a sudden realized that where he was going was 90 degrees.
And what if he was found guilty at the end and taken to jail? What would he have done with the dog then? I wonder. Right? If he was found guilty, maybe he wouldn't have been sentenced right away, though, probably. Right? Anyway, just saying. Irresponsible behavior from the abuser. Big surprise.
And he realized he couldn't leave their family dog, Chesney, in the car, and asked Grayson what he should do. I mean, just little things like that, just help me, little sister.
Right? Help me, little sister. He's just this helpless boy child who's on the spectrum. He looks up to his little sister who is always there to help, ready with a helping hand, because she grew up in private school and going to church on Sundays, and she just believes in being a good person, little GraeBae. And she has had her whole faith in humanity destroyed by the mean moms on YouTube and the mean stalker girls who interrupted her dinner. It is just heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking, people. Are you guys okay? It's so sad.
And Grayson whipped out her credit card and bought a daycare for the family dog where he was going, and was taking care of it and taking care of him and taking care of their.
Yeah, where was he going, Lauren? Where was he going? Where he was going? Where was he going?
Her family dog, and doing what she always does. And then we went to bed, and
sorry, the man lost his life. I'm not making fun of his death. I'm making fun of the idea that Grayson is just always there to be a helper. Yeah, misnomer. He died. He died in a car accident when he was on his way to Washington State, where he was going to be on trial for assaulting his girlfriend in 2023. And the second charge was trying to prevent her from reporting that assault. So these guys made a big announcement about it so that they could capitalize, literally, dollar bills off of his death by getting clicks and views and super chats from their fans, while lying about the fact that he was on his way to court where he was going to be tried for assaulting his girlfriend 3 years ago. Yeah, he did die. Yeah, I'm not telling you off, Ms. Nomer. I'm telling them off. Sorry if my tone came off that way. I just these people are using his death to gain something for themselves, right? To gain attention, to gain money, to gain pity, to gain sympathy. Without mentioning that he was on his way somewhere, right? These are the people who brought it all up. And the only reason I know about any of it was because I was Googling his name, because I knew I was going to do an episode today about Grayson, and I was Googling his name to see if there was anything, any news, any, any the eulogy, the funerals, the obituary, any, celebrations of life, any of that kind of stuff. And instead, what I came across was a court case. And then the video that he posted on that day, where he himself says that he's on his way to Washington for court. So then I searched the Washington courts and I found the rest.
What was a dream at first, or I felt like it was an alarm, I realized was my phone ringing in the barely felt like the middle of the night. It was just before 5, and I looked in, it was her family member calling my phone, so I knew something was wrong. And I picked it up, and they said they needed to talk to my producer, Grayson. And I gave her the phone, and her brother, just shortly after they called, was in a car accident with their dog, and they were both killed.
So Lauren isn't crying about Jackson and Chesney being killed in a car accident. She's crying at the idea of herself looking sad in front of the audience, right? It's her sadness, her performative sadness, that makes her cry.
And she is not doing okay.
So Grayson wasn't doing okay. So her boss, who's 20 years her senior, took her to the emergency room to get some benzos, and then they just carried on working.
Well, I was with her, and we I ended up taking her to the emergency room, and she was in a much better place, and we were working through this together, this tragedy together, and we decided together that we were going to keep working, because that's what we do.
Right? Like, you're the grown-up here, and it's up to you to actually do the healthy thing and tell your young acolyte that she needs to. I know it might feel like you want to be here today, but this is not the day for you to be here. But that's not Lauren, right? Lauren had to go to Lori's trial when her own brother was dying. So we already know that, right? And we already know that she likes to make a big, big salad out of how very dare we mention her dead brother. And I expect that we're going to get some more, there's going to be some high dudgeon over how very dare we, he's only been gone for 3 weeks, how very dare we. And again, I would point you back to the beginning of the live stream today, where I posted a picture of Dolly Parton, who very sadly passed away today. And we talked about how you should live your life in such a way that when you pass, people talk about you the way that people have been talking about Dolly Parton today. If you don't want people to say terrible things about you, then don't do terrible things. And when you die, people will have nice things to say. And it seems to me like he has hidden all of this. I'm going to play his little video. I think we've seen enough of her for the moment. And I'm going to share his video again because it's extremely manipulative, in my opinion. And it's a perfect example of how an abuser does the Darvo thing, the deny, attack, reverse victim offender. Dolly definitely left a legacy, and it's a beautiful legacy, right? There's a huge outpouring of grief in the social media today after the news of her death came out. So anyway, here we go. Listen to.
Yeah, so fucking today, quit my job today. That was super solid. Got another job within 10 minutes. That was super sick. I got home, and then 5 minutes later, I found out I have to go to Washington for court. So I'm literally on my way right now. I have to be there by Thursday at 8:45 a.m. So I'm literally driving like 20 hours in 2 days. So, yeah, it's okay though. Got my trusty road dog with me, and yeah, we're just gonna go waste taxpayers' money, time, and fucking everything else, and my time and energy. And I had to quit my fucking job for this. Super sick. Love having to quit my job because, yeah, somebody wants to fucking watch me burn for no fucking reason. I love liars. I love that shit. So, stay tuned. Let's go win this court.
Yeah, so that's our Jackson. And I think that it's, if this is what he was getting up to, 27 years old, Lucia. If this is what he was getting up to, then I don't feel that there's any need for me to hide that. In fact, I think it's important information given the lies and the bullshit that we have had from Lauren and Grayson about how very much we have destroyed their innocence by talking about them and telling the truth about them. So Grayson has tried to paint her brother as this kind of hapless, on the spectrum, failure to launch because of his autism, sweet, innocent guy who just needs the help of his little big sister, right? And yeah, he's got, there's more people. There is more. Hang on. Did I upload this? Let me just hang on. Let me share. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute while I add this document here. And I'll share it with you. So there we go. Okay. Ancient Teapot says, "Oh no, I gave my dog too many kale stems and now it's chemical warfare in here." Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Danelle Allen, you got some great insights, Danelle. I always really appreciate your comments. She says, giving autism a bad name, one selfish lie at a time. Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, that's it with these people, right? Their victims are legion because they just say whatever suits them, right? It's like Megan and all of her talk of being sex trafficked and all that shit, right? Her victims are all the people that have actually been through that, right? Also, Lauren's victims are also people who have been stalked, right? Actual victims of these types of tragedies, right? I'm not saying that people that are on the spectrum are victims because they're on the spectrum, but autism is a thing. And and laying claim to that title to explain your bad behavior or to brush it off is extremely suspect, and it gives all people with autism a bad name, in my opinion, and it's disgusting behavior. So this is the Truth Finder report for Grayson Yohr. Don't look while I swing through the pages. We don't need to know all of this. He's got a million phone numbers and addresses and all the rest of it. We don't need to know any of those. His relatives are all listed there. Criminal and traffic records, 2017. So we're talking 9 years ago. So if he's 27 now, then 9 years ago, he was 18. Right, so there may well be offenses from prior to that, but of course, juvenile records are not released to the public. So I'm going to assume that he didn't suddenly, at the age of 18, start behaving in a particular way that didn't exist before that. But John implied that Nick Reiner's autism contributed to his rage, violent tendencies, says Molly Colleen. Yeah, I just, well, John, I covered that, a little bit of that episode with him talking about Nick Reiner, but it made my blood boil so much. I never got through the whole thing. Is this how women are treated in their family? Yeah, apparently. I mean, I don't know if I don't know. So I saw somebody commenting earlier that maybe he's estranged from the parents, right? Maybe the parents have kicked him out and they don't want anything to do with him. Maybe so, but I certainly haven't heard anything like that from Grayson. She has never alluded to any. Glam Dolly says, so sick of autism being exploited as a get out of jail free card. What an insult to autism sufferers. Yeah. But I've never heard Grayson allude to, any kind of schism in the family. That doesn't mean that there isn't one, right? I mean, these people are all about image. So she's trying to present the image of the innocent private school girl who just went to church on Sundays and has just had no idea about the big bad world out there while she works as a producer of true crime videos. So not sure who's buying that, but anyway, these are less likely criminal or traffic records. So these appear to be traffic records, November 20th, 2017, August 22nd, 2017. They're not specified, right, what the charges are. So I'm just showing you these because there's quite a list of charges. He has been in trouble lots of times. He has been, on the radar of the police many, many times. More here, right? Not specified offenses. April 24th, 2018. July 5th, 2020. Again, not specified. Now we're getting to California, San Bernardino. So that's where he was living. So here we go. California, San Bernardino. Though this is confusing because it says arrest date, February 24th, 2026, and actual release date, January 26th, 2026. So I don't know if those are transposed, but it's a charge for battery, spouse, ex, etc. Arresting agency, Big Bear Lake PD. So this is a different one, right? This has happened in California. It's the same charge. Domestic assault, right? Hey, Dental Lori. Hey, glad you come back out. Yeah, so he's been at this. He's still at it, right? This is this year, 2026. And this is what the court case, he would have had a court case tomorrow about this. Not about this, but about the restraining order that he is now trying to take out against the woman that he assaulted. Same playbook as the last one. This is now 2026. And then it shows all of these other Seattle ones that we already know about. March 28th. Actually, we don't know about this. March 28th. Criminal trespass. Criminal non-traffic. So this is the one. Criminal trespass one. It doesn't specify what it is, but then we go down here. March 28th, 2023. Offense description. Coercion. Okay. That's another one. It was dismissed. I mean, these were dismissed, right? But that doesn't mean that they didn't happen. It's an awful coincidence, right? And this one here, March 28th, 2023, offense description, computer trespass. So is that computer hacking? Is that trying to get into somebody's online accounts? I feel like Grayson, right? Wasn't that Grayson's first word to the cops? And that somebody hacked Lauren's accounts and was trying to extort her? So yeah, just that's it. That's it for the documents that I have to show you for today. But yeah, serial abuser, same pattern, similar pattern to the one used by Lauren and Grayson and John, right? Behave badly, get exposed, retaliate. Behave badly, get exposed, retaliate. And that's exactly what this Jackson has been up to. So, I mean, I'm not saying he deserved to die, obviously. I mean, his death is still a tragedy for their family, and I'm sorry for them that they are losing one so young. 27 is very young. My own son will be 33 next month, and he still feels like a baby to me. So, you know, my hearts go out to the family. My heart goes out to the family, certainly. But at the same time, I am not here to protect abusers from their behavior. Death comes to all of us, and it's not a reason to cover up somebody's behavior. So Lauren's the real hack. Lucia with the one-liners. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've got for you today. I also have, we could watch a bit of the, if people are interested. I really was going to try to get I've got the, Every Day with Jay covered the Patreon episode where they talk about Grayson's brother. But I was going to try to get the raw audio for it and go over it. What's about Docket Decoder? What are you saying about Docket Decoder? If it's okay to drop it, I hope it's Docket Decoder, I believe. Sorry, where are we? I'm missing something. Let me go back. Wendy, what were you saying, Wendy? Did anyone see the video about John? It's amazing and pretty spot on. Dropped on Friday or Saturday. Oh, Docket Decoder. Yeah, he's amazing. He did a fantastic job. He's been doing some really good work on this. He's made a couple of shorter videos too, where he's, putting John's words right up next to John's other words to show what a hypocrite he is. But yeah, he does really good work, and he does really, he's really thorough. Yeah, totally worth the watch. I think most of us have seen it. I certainly have. We were talking about it last week when it came out. He always comes up straight on my timeline when he's got something new. But yeah, so I think that's it for me today. I want to listen to the audio of the Patreon video. I find it hard to listen to the live around all of that and not get distracted and all the rest of it. So it's not ideal for me. But if I'm not able to find it, I don't want to pay them for it. I'm super annoyed, actually. I paid actual real money for a paperback copy of Lauren's terrible book. And it was supposed to be delivered yesterday, and I got the notification saying it was delivered, and it's not here, and it's not at my neighbor's house, and it's not at my other neighbor's house, and it's not anywhere. So I'm not sure. I know I changed my address, and I made a big deal about putting in instructions about how to find me, but seems like that didn't happen. I'm gonna take this down. And I'm going to put this back up just for the last minute. Yeah, you missed a lot, Lori. It's a lot. You know, I was texting about it yesterday about finding these docs. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And I do feel for Grayson's family. Sorry, what was that? Do we know what happened when he went before the board? Oh, it was dismissed. Yeah, there was, I mean, as far as I know, I managed to wangle the last minute link to the Zoom meeting, and the way they run it, like, it's all been decided. It's not just a hearing for John, right? It's a hearing about all of the various, it's about a lot of things, including all of the complaints. And they're all decided beforehand. It's really just a formality. So they have people go over whatever complaint and make recommendations, and then they bring the complaint up and they get someone to, they say the person recommends dismissing it. Somebody motion to dismiss, and then somebody goes, I motion that we dismiss, I move that we dismiss, and then somebody seconds it, and then it's over. And there were, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 10 and 12 complaints that they covered, and there was only one that, to my mind, could have been Dr. John. They mentioned a podcaster and a complaint from a member of the public, which, as far as I know, is what that was. I mean, John's a podcaster, and it was a complaint from a member of the public. And the person who looked over it recommended that it be dismissed, and somebody made a motion to dismiss it, and somebody seconded it, and it was dismissed, and it was all over in, I don't know, under 10 seconds, 15 seconds maybe. So I feel like, I mean, I don't know. Somebody was telling me today that in those situations, it needs to be complaints from actual clients before they will really sit up and take notice. I'm gonna watch 9 to 5 tonight. That's a great idea. I absolutely love Dolly. I found myself very emotional today when I was reading all of the tributes to her on Blue Sky. Bright Breakfast made an interesting comment on Andy's post about it on YouTube. Should we go find that? I can do that. I've got the energy for that. Let me just see if I can find Andy Copes' point. I think I actually read the thing you're talking about. I lost you guys. Sorry. Let me come back over here. Okay, so Andy Copsa says, join me after the call, which didn't happen, I think. And she says, for real this time, join me tomorrow at 1 p.m. But so let's look at the comments here. Mr. Bright Breakfast. Okay, you guys can see that? Mr. Bright Breakfast says, just FYI, there will likely be nothing of relevance mentioned publicly at this meeting today if this is meant to follow something related to HTC. I'm no fortune teller, but I would bet that the next scheduled meeting may have something worth listening to. Okay. Also, as a PSA, if anyone joins via Zoom, make sure you join the public meeting, not their board meeting. If you join the wrong one and they don't recognize the name, they will likely ask you who you are. It can be easy to mix up. Okay, so that didn't happen. So yeah, according to Bright Breakfast, there's that something is going to happen at the next scheduled meeting. So like I said, you can't hold me to it because I don't know for sure. I did watch it and that was what I saw. So maybe there is more to it. Maybe the podcaster wasn't him. Maybe it was a different situation. And this was before, right? Oh, Andy says agreed. It's reviewing legislation for the most part and a move to vacate complaints and financials. Public meetings are great ways to be informed about how the government works. However, and the board is no different. This from a woman who watches city council, school boards, and other public meetings. So yeah, so I don't know. I'm hardly an expert on any of that. But from what I saw, nothing happened. Marty Ross says, I had a very bad case of COVID and it had just broken the fever hours before Dolly's Christmas special was on, and I finally remember it. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, she actually funded the Moderna vaccine, didn't she? And then when she got vaccinated, she did she went and did a public service announcement while she was getting vaccinated, and she sang to the tune of Jolene. She sang vaccine, vaccine, and made up some words about how you better go get your vaccine because if you don't, it'll be too late, kind of thing. So yeah, just a star in every possible instance. We were also talking about her imagination library, where she gave all her money gave so much money to for books for kids. And we did not mention, but I'm going to mention now, that when she had the opportunity to get Elvis to record her song, I Will Always Love You. And they wanted to take 50% of the royalties from it, Elvis's manager. And she refused, and she said no. And everybody was like, you're crazy, it's Elvis. And she was just a nobody back then, or fairly much smaller compared to him. And she said no. And in the end, it was Whitney Houston who she allowed to record it. And she took all of the money that she made from that recording and she reinvested it in the Black community in Houston. So just to say, the woman knows a thing or two about how to give back to the community. Llama Pajama says, oh my God, I was taking voice lessons and working on Jolene during the pandemic. I sang it to Vaccine, Vaccine before the commercial. Oh, awesome. That's awesome. Today I posted a post just saying, we lost a real one, and a link to a YouTube video of her singing Mule Skinner Blues, which is one of my absolute favorites of hers. If you haven't heard it, go have a look. It's pretty great. There's a link on my channel. If you go over to the posts there, you can find it. So yeah, so I think I'm done. It's a little bit past 6. I feel like I have done my duty for the true crime community today. Dolly was a good person. Yeah, I guess she was only 80 years old. It seems very young to me. For someone like her, she should have lived to be 100, in my opinion. We could certainly have done with another 20 years of her. It was like losing David Bowie at 70, just way too young. Way too young. You have that record of hers too. Yeah, I love her. She was awesome. Anyway, that's it for me. If you can remember to hit the like on the way out, that would be fantastic. And if you're not subscribed, please do. And, you can share and do all the fun things to support the channel. And I'm thinking tomorrow that I'm going to go over some more of, I want to revisit the Woo Woo Saturday Night video with Trisha, where she talks about the Be Me text and how she stole the phone from the hospital and all that stuff. So always a pleasure. You guys you always make my day better than it was before. And I'm just going to put Dolly back up before I say goodbye. We will end on that note, and I will love you and leave you until tomorrow. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. See you.